All right, hi everybody, and thanks for checking my video out here. What you see before you is a Nikon D7100 and a Lumix G7, Panasonic Lumix G7. Now, we're not actually going to be talking about cameras today. We're actually going to be talking about something that's just as important, and that is a flash. Now, this flash is not made by Nikon or Panasonic Lumix. It's actually made by a company called Neewer. It's the Neewer TT560. Now, what I find really strange about this is on multiple websites that I have looked at this flash, it is advertised with some confusing information. The name says Neewer TT560, and then it lists pretty much every camera manufacturer. Panasonic, Nikon, Canon, Pentax, Olympus. It just lists them all. And then it says flash. And it's priced at about $30. And then when you read the description of the product, it says for Canon and Nikon. So that got me thinking, and I started doing a little searching. And I've seen some reviews, video reviews, that say, oh, this is a Nikon flash, this is a Canon flash, this is a Nikon flash, this is a Canon flash. But every page that sells it as a Canon, Nikon, Panasonic, Sony, Olympus, whatever. So I'm going to put that to the test. I have, obviously, my Nikon here, so if the flash doesn't work with my Panasonic, I can use it with my Nikon. It's $30, that's not necessarily wasted. But if it does work with my Lumix, that's great. So we're going to see, finally, if this Neewer TT560 Canon, Nikon, Olympus, Pentax, Sony flash does actually work on more than just Canon and Nikon. So let's see what happens. All right, here we go. I've got my Neewer TT560 Speedlight. Just arrived, and we're going to open it up and see if it does, in fact, work with the Panasonic and the Nikon and whatever else. But first, when I first took it out of the package, it arrived, and I looked at the box just to make sure it doesn't actually say on here what it does work with. Here it just says, oh, this is the user guide apparently. On-off turns the flash on-off mode, switches between manual S1 and S2 modes, whatever that means. Test button fires a test flash. Power up increases the power output of the flash. Power down decreases the power output of the flash. So one thing I have learned from reading online is this is evidently a manual flash, so it is not TTL. So this is something that you kind of have to do your flash exposures manually. So just something to keep in mind. We got a label on this side. Let's see what this says. Maybe this is a serial number or something. Neewer, blah, blah, blah. 5AYO RFUW 90. I don't know what that is, but doesn't specifically say anywhere on the box whether it's Canon, Nikon, Panasonic, whatever. So to me, this feels like it's just a generic flash. And I have a feeling that's what it is. It's probably just, it just fires a flash when it detects the, the signal from the hot shoe. So that's probably why it says it's compatible with everything, because it probably doesn't have anything specific that communicates with the camera. So let's crack this open and see if my theory is correct. Ooh. Comes with one of these little silica bags. Don't eat it or anything. Just get rid of it. Comes in this little felt case. Very nice. Very impressed for a $30 flash. I got this on Amazon Prime now. I think it was like 32 bucks, I think. All right, here it is. The Neewer. What a name. Neewer. All right, let's see. I think it feels pretty good. I mean, it feels plastic, but I feel like this thing does kind of feel like it costs more than $30. I feel like dealer cost on this would be $30. Ooh, and we have we've got a built-in diffuser and a bounce card, which really that's kind of the reason I bought this flash, is just to use it with, with a bounce card and so forth. So that's pretty neat. Awesome. Okay, let's put some batteries in it. Actually, let's take a look at the other side of this. Buttons feel plasticky, but good. And what do we got over here? Oh, QC passed. Good. It passed QC. Looks like we have a couple of ports for syncing. If you were using this with like a film camera or something, you can plug in your PC sync cord, maybe an external battery or something. That looks pretty cool. All right. And it does take AA batteries. Okay, it's fired up. Ooh, it's got blue lights on it. Ah, okay. So when this red power light comes on, that means it's ready to fire. And that's full. Okay, so these pluses and minuses right here actually are what will increase or decrease the power output of the flash. There are no markings on here to indicate what the power stops are, so I think it has to do with just kind of eyeballing it, honestly, and just seeing what you're getting on your results. Now, I'm not sure what these modes are, and I didn't see anything else involving like a owner's manual of some kind. There's nothing in there, and we do have some documentation. Oh, cool. We got a little pedestal stand for it, and then we do have an owner's manual of some sorts, so that's cool. All right, let's take a quick look in here and see if this has anything important in the way of I'm wondering what this mode button does, S1 and S2. Okay, so hot shoe stand, money stand, blah, 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 fine, okay. Mode selector, okay, installation battery, we already did that. Mounting TT560 on the camera, I think I know how to do that. Okay, here we go. All right, so switch to on the flash to start charging. It seemed to take a little while to charge. It's definitely not that fast, so just one thing to keep in mind. Okay, power control. The flash unit has 8 steps of power output, which indicated by the 8 pieces of LED. Press plus to make power higher, and okay, so it's listed here. The lowest being 1/128th of a second, and then it goes up exponentially. So let's see if I can get that in the camera. 1/64th, 32nd, 16th, 8th, 4th, 1/2, and 1 full power. Otherwise, press minus to make power lower. M mode is manual mode. This way you can set that onto just flash power. Okay. So S1, press mode. Press mode key to S1 mode. The mode is applicable for slave flash in order to create many lighting effects. It's respectively applicable for manual flash environment. When the flash is in S1, it will fire synchronously when the master flash fires, comparable to the effect of use by radio trigger. S2 mode is applicable for slave flash in order to create many lighting effects. Flash unit won't flash synchronously with the first flash, but second flash from the master flash, which is second flash sync. Oh, that's cool. All right, so when you're in S1 mode, it's basically first curtain sync. S2 is second curtain sync. That's what it sounds like. Okay. The optic light sensor will stop functioning under M mode. The hot shoes trigger function will stop under S1 and S2. Okay, so basically S1 and S2 is off-camera flash, and then M is on-camera flash, but it's manual. So it's not using TTL, just making that clear. The speed light and camera will trigger synchronously using a PC sync cord. That's when you're using the sync trigger function. Okay. Okay. So it basically just talks about standby if you're not flashing it. It says don't flash over 20 times with your power level all the way up. That makes sense. All right. Cool. All right. Well, let's try it. So, all right, let's move all this to the side. So this is touted as a Canon, Nikon, Sony, Olympus, Pentax, blah, blah, blah. So before we try it on a Nikon, because also on Amazon and on Newegg and a few other places I saw this flash, it says for Canon and Nikon. So we're going to try it on a Panasonic first, because that was kind of the reason I bought this. Ah, okay, well, it's going off. I should probably turn it off when I put it on there. Okay, cool. So let's slide this on. All right, so it fits on there, and now let me lock it down. Okay, it turns left to lock, which I was turning it the wrong way. So now I've turned it left. It's on there pretty good. Okay, so let's turn this on. Fires. So let's see how that image looks. It's probably gonna look kind of funny. Now let's see, does the camera know? Okay, so the camera doesn't even know that there's a flash up there. It's allowing me to dial up all the way to 4,000th of a second. So it's not, so there's no communication between the flash and the camera. So you are on your own for making sure you don't exceed your camera's sync speed. So we're gonna go with, let's go with 1/25th of a second at f8. There we go. Let's point the flash up. But we need a little more flash output. Let's try again. Yeah, it's light in the room. So it's, as an on-camera flash, works fine. Now let's throw it into slave mode, and let's see if this thing will actually slave to the on-camera flash here. Okay, so we're in S1 mode now, and I'll leave the same power setting, and I'll even put this thing on its little shoe. Wow, it fired slavely. So now, just for the clarification, this is an optical slave. So again, it's not doing any TTL. Well, let's try something even more interesting here. I'm gonna go into my settings on my camera here, and I'm going to turn off I'm going to change the. Okay, so it looks like, oh, here we go, wireless. Turn that on. Wireless channel 1, wireless FP. I'm not sure what that is. Communication light, wireless setup. Okay, built-in flash. I don't think this is going to work, but might as well try it. So now built-in flash is off, and it's just doing wireless triggering. Let's see if this works. No, that did not work, because I'm going to take this picture, and while it looks like this is going to flash, it's flashing too early. So this will not work with your camera's proprietary flash settings. So you have to use it as an optical slave, not a TTL slave, if that makes sense. I'm just restoring this to its default here. So when you're using this with a pop-up flash on your camera, your pop-up flash is going to affect the exposure. But what you can do now, I'm not on a different camera. These steps may not be quite the same. But what you can do is you can turn down your flash exposure compensation. So, for example, I don't want this flash to affect the picture much. I want this one to be the main source of light. I can go on and just turn my flash exposure compensation down as far as it'll go. That way, this flash is still going to affect the picture, but not as much as this one. So, you can still get the benefits of having your flash off camera. So, the Neewer TT560, it is a manual flash. It works on a Panasonic, and even though on certain websites it does say that it is a Canon or a Nikon flash, the name of this on all those websites says Canon, Nikon, Pentax, Fuji, Sony, Panasonic, blah, blah, blah. It does work with all of those, but it only works manually, and it only works as just a flash that's going to trigger when you press the shutter. It's not going to communicate with the camera through TTL. It's not going to configure itself. You won't be able to control it from your camera menus. It's basically just going to function. It's kind of going to function like a dumb studio light. you know, where you have to kind of manually go over and control. Turn this off. Manually go over and control the power output of each individual studio light. That's essentially what this is going to behave like. So I'm just putting this on my D7100, my Nikon now, just to kind of confirm it does the same thing. Boom, fired, just like that. And again, it's manual, so there's not going to be any, you know, any communication with the camera. It's basically just going to fire whenever it senses the shutter going off. So the Neewer TT560, it is a good starter flash. If you're kind of just getting into photography, this is really going to be a good flash to have because it will help you with understanding light metering. It will help you with understanding, you know, how to properly meter your exposures and how to, you know, add some fill light and so forth. You know, TTL, or through the lens metering on other flashes, you know, really is handy, and it's great for having things being automated. But if you just need a little extra source of light, this thing is a steal at 30 bucks. You know, 32, whatever it is. You know, and I think once you get one of these and you get really familiar with it, then graduate to a TTL, you know, upgrade to a TTL flash. You know, on a Nikon, like an SB910, I think is their top of the line flash. Canon's got the 600 EXRT. Trying to think, what does, I don't know. I'm not up on the Panasonic line, so I couldn't tell you what the Panasonic high-end flash is, but I know it goes for about 400 bucks. But you know, those are good to get once you've gotten more familiar with the, you know, metering and so forth. But this is a great little flash to have. You know, I'm happy with it. I'm gonna bring it with me on my trip when I go away. It's basically just so when I'm taking pictures inside, if I don't want to aim the flash directly at my subjects in my picture, I can use this for a little bounce flash. You know, bounce it off the ceiling and hopefully get some better looking images. One thing I did read online, and I haven't experienced this firsthand, obviously, because I've only owned the flash since you saw me take it out of the box. Apparently it does go through batteries fairly quickly, so it is advisable to stock up on AA batteries for when you are going to go out and use this flash. But yeah, that's the Neewer TT560. It works on Panasonics, even though it says it is for Canon and Nikon. It is for just about anything with a hot shoe. So I hope you enjoyed this review, and if you have any questions or anything else I can answer for you, feel free to leave a comment. Feel free to subscribe if you like my videos. I've got all different stuff. I'm not necessarily just a camera review or photo reviewer channel. I kind of have a little bit of everything. But so if you like my videos, please subscribe, and thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys on the next video.